London in 1666 was a city ripe for disaster. Its streets, a labyrinth of narrow alleys and overhanging timber-framed houses, were a tinderbox waiting to ignite. Centuries of construction had created a dense warren of buildings, many dating back to medieval times. Wood, the primary building material, was cheap and plentiful, yet it posed a constant and deadly fire hazard. The city's inhabitants lived in close proximity to one another, their lives intertwined amidst the bustling markets and workshops. Open flames were commonplace, used for cooking, heating, and light. Fire was an ever-present danger, and small outbreaks were frequent occurrences. Londoners had grown accustomed to the threat, yet they remained oblivious to the scale of the catastrophe that awaited them. The summer of 1666 had been unusually hot and dry. A persistent drought had turned the River Thames into a sluggish trickle, leaving the city parched and vulnerable. Wooden beams baked by the relentless sun became as dry as tinder. The slightest spark could ignite a conflagration, and in the early hours of Sunday, September 2nd, that spark would come, forever etching its mark on London's history. The fire began in the heart of the city on Pudding Lane, a narrow street teeming with bakers and shops. Thomas Farriner, the king's baker, had a shop there, its ovens working through the night to supply bread for the city. In the darkness before dawn, a fire erupted within the bakery. Whether it was a stray spark from the oven, a carelessly discarded ember, or some other mishap, the exact cause remains a mystery. What began as a flicker quickly grew into a raging inferno. Dry timber and flammable goods within the bakery fueled the flames. The fire spread rapidly to adjacent buildings, carried by a gentle breeze that blew from the east. The alarm was raised, but it was already too late. The Great Fire of London had begun. The fire's rapid spread was fueled by a deadly combination of factors. The prolonged drought had left London's wooden structures tinder dry, easily ignited by the smallest flame. A steady east wind blowing across the city carried burning embers and debris far and wide, spreading the fire from building to building with terrifying speed. Efforts to contain the blaze proved futile. The city's firefighting methods, reliant on buckets of water and rudimentary hand pumps, were woefully inadequate against the inferno's ferocity. The heat was so intense that it melted lead roofing and cracked stone walls. As the fire raged, panic gripped the city. Terrified residents fled their homes, carrying what few possessions they could salvage. The streets became choked with refugees, carts piled high with belongings, all desperate to escape the inferno. The air filled with the roar of the flames, the crash of collapsing buildings, and the screams of the terrified. For 4 long days and nights, the fire raged unchecked, consuming everything in its path. The flames leaped across streets, engulfing entire neighborhoods in a matter of hours. Public buildings, churches, and businesses were consumed by the inferno, leaving behind only smoldering ruins. King Charles II, initially reluctant to intervene, took personal charge of the firefighting efforts, ordering the demolition of buildings to create firebreaks. Desperate measures were employed, including the use of gunpowder to blow up buildings in the fire's path. Yet the fire's relentless advance continued. Amidst the chaos and destruction, acts of incredible bravery and resilience emerged. Ordinary Londoners risked their lives to save others, forming human chains to pass buckets of water and rescue those trapped in burning buildings. The city's poor, often overlooked and marginalized, played a crucial role in fighting the fire and aiding their fellow citizens. By the time the fire was finally extinguished on September 5th, it had consumed a vast swathe of the city. Over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and countless businesses lay in ruins. The Guildhall, the Royal Exchange, and numerous other landmarks were reduced to ashes. The human cost of the fire, while difficult to quantify precisely, was undoubtedly significant. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, perished in the flames or died later from injuries and exposure. The fire left an estimated 70,000 to 80,000 people homeless, their lives and livelihoods destroyed. The air, thick with smoke and the stench of ash, hung heavy over the ruined city. The once familiar landmarks were gone, replaced by a desolate landscape of rubble and debris. The fire had reshaped London both physically and psychologically, leaving an enduring scar on the city's landscape and its people's memories. Among the fire's many victims, the loss of St. Paul's Cathedral was perhaps the most keenly felt. The cathedral, a masterpiece of Gothic architecture, had stood for centuries as a symbol of London's faith and civic pride. The fire, fueled by the cathedral's wooden roof and scaffolding, engulfed the structure with terrifying speed. Stone walls cracked and crumbled under the intense heat, sending the cathedral's iconic dome crashing to the ground. The loss of St. Paul's was a devastating blow, a symbol of the fire's destructive power and the city's profound sense of loss. In the aftermath of the fire, London faced the daunting task of rebuilding. The scale of the destruction was overwhelming, the human and economic cost immeasurable, yet, amidst the ruins, a spirit of resilience and determination emerged. King Charles II, eager to see his capital city restored, issued a proclamation calling for the reconstruction of London. Architects and surveyors were commissioned to draw up plans for a new city, one that would be safer, more ordered, and more resilient than its predecessor. The rebuilding of London marked a turning point in the city's history. New building regulations designed to prevent a repeat of the disaster were implemented. Timber, once the ubiquitous building material, was largely banned in favor of brick and stone. Streets were widened and firebreaks were incorporated into the city's layout to prevent the rapid spread of flames. The rebuilding effort, while challenging and complex, presented an opportunity to reshape London. Sir Christopher Wren, a visionary architect, played a pivotal role in designing many of the city's new churches, including the iconic dome of the rebuilt St. Paul's Cathedral. The Great Fire of London stands as a stark reminder of the destructive power of fire and the importance of preparedness and resilience. The lessons learned from that catastrophic event continue to resonate today, shaping urban planning, fire safety regulations, and disaster response strategies worldwide. The fire highlighted the dangers of densely packed wooden buildings, inadequate firefighting equipment, and a lack of effective urban planning. It underscored the importance of clear leadership, effective communication, and community involvement in times of crisis. The Great Fire of London, while a tragedy of immense proportions, also revealed the indomitable spirit of the city and its people. From the ashes of destruction rose a new London, one that was stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever before. The fire, in its own way, acted as a catalyst for change, leading to improvements in urban planning, sanitation, and architecture. It fostered a sense of unity and shared purpose among Londoners, who rebuilt their city into a global centre of commerce, culture, and innovation. The Great Fire of London remains a pivotal event in the city's history, a story passed down through generations. It serves as a reminder of the fragility of human creations, the ever-present threat of disaster, and the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit. The fire's legacy lives on in London's street names, its architecture, and its collective memory. It is a story of loss and devastation, but also of hope, renewal, and the enduring power of the human will to overcome adversity. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the flames of history. If you found the story of the Great Fire of London as fascinating as I did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with others who love diving into the past. And for more intriguing historical events, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our next exploration. Until then, keep the curiosity burning bright.